You are searching for the right string height. That shows me that you are unhappy, so something is wrong. I will tell you exactly how it should be and what you have to pay attention to. Stay tuned. Hello, back again. This is Edgar from Cremona, Italy, working every day on instruments, building violins, viola, cello and double basses. And I give my best to educate you that you know what you're buying, what you have to look for and all the tiny details. And today we talk about the right string height. Actually, the string height is a little bit more difficult. So now I can give you right away the right measurements and you immediately go back to your violin and try to fix it. But it's not that easy because the ideal string height depends on other things, which probably is better if you invest a little bit of time and you figure out why you're unhappy now, because there is something else which doesn't work. Playing the violin is a little bit tricky because you need to fetch the single strings so they're aligned on a curve, and you need to have the possibility, even if you go up, to play a single string. So the string height is very high on one side and very low on the other one. And it could be we try to make it in a way that you feel it all the same, more or less. And it could be that in your case, you're already at the ideal string height, but then on the other side, it feels so deep or not enough and it makes even a buzz. So it's all about what lies under the string, and that's the fingerboard. The string height is measured with a ruler at the very far end of the lowest part of the fingerboard underneath the string. So the free space is measured, and it is on the E string 4 millimeters and on the G string 5.5 millimeters. On the viola, it is similar as the violin, 4 on the A string and on the C string 6 millimeters. On a cello, the ideal string height measured at the end of the fingerboard, the free space under the string, 5 on the A string and 8 on the C string. On the double bass, the string height is very similar to the cello, 5 on the first string and 8, maybe also 9, but also 8 on the fourth string. Before you go and rush back to your violin and low down the strings, and then you're unhappy, and then you say, Edgar's told me it's completely crap, calm down, and now we check the fingerboard how it should be done. Finally, after 4 years, we can meet up again in Shanghai, Pudong, at the Music China Musikmesse between October 11th and 14th. It is a great pleasure to meet you all over there. See you soon. I finish my packaging. We see us on the other side. Ciao, ciao. Bye-bye. It's not easy, but we will manage it. For most makers, the fingerboard is just round and black, and that's it. And if it is made in that way, you will be unhappy and you cannot apply these measurements. The fingerboard is round, as you know, and there is a shape which is actually very difficult to explain because it is round. The sides are mainly not straight, but also slightly hollow. And the upper side is also slightly hollow, like a round arched surface which is hanging. The first thing you can say is, if you look at the instrument like this against the light, you can immediately see bumps or not. Even if your eyes are not trained, you can see those things. Very often you have a bump very next to the neck setting area, because when they shoot the fingerboard, here it's glued on, so it's more resistant, and then they take away a little bit more, so they make a bump in here and then it comes a bump later. That means for all tones played before the bump, you will hear a buzz, okay? That means you need to stay already a little bit higher, otherwise it makes a buzz just on certain tones you're playing. Now, to measure the fingerboard, you need to take a ruler. Ideal thing to start with is that you find a ruler which is long as the entire fingerboard. And then try to put it on and then see if it is hollow in the middle, it's not touching only on the two ends of the instrument. If that is the case, you're already on the good side. You're in the range that you can say plus minus 1 millimeter of the ideal string height. That means, to my measurements I gave you initially, you can add 1 millimeter for sure and you still are able to play. But if you want to go close to my measurements, you need a smaller ruler. Let's say on a violin you take a 15 millimeter ruler and then you go up every side where every string lies and a little bit up and down. Now in the upper area where the nut is, you have to be a little bit more picky because it's going to be flatter and flatter, and a tiny bump creates already a big disaster you can hear. Generally speaking, about a hollowness on a cello, 1.5 on the C string, as I show you here, that's about 1.5 millimeter. That's already a lot. When you look at it, you say, wow, this is just really, I didn't imagine that it's that much. And a little bit less than 1 millimeter on the A string. On the violin, all this is a little bit less. It's a little bit like 0.5 to not even a millimeter on the G string, but definitely you have to make it a little bit stronger. The clue is not in the quantity of the hollowness, but it's more that it's regularly from one side to the other one, that it's regularly like this without a single tiny bump, which you can again see by looking along, or with a small square which I have here. It's very straight, and then you go up and down along the strings and you look at it, and then you see if there is a tiny bump. A tiny bump creates a big sound difference compared to where you play where there's no bump, and that's why you need to stay a little bit higher. So generally speaking, I would say the more economic your instrument has been, one of the things is as well the fingerboard. If you have a perfect fingerboard, if you have it Alpine, you can go even lower than that. And beside that it is low, it is very much also sensible on climate change. So if you are living in a country where you have very humid weather in one season and very dry in another one, it's useless to go on the minimum measurement, and then the neck doesn't have any range of plus minus, but it's immediately touching and you can't play at all anymore. In countries like Korea, professional musicians love to have it low, but the temperature and the humidity is changing, so they have even two bridges to avoid that. So they have the summer and the winter bridge. Here in Europe we're pretty stable, and you just have one measurement that fits more or less everything, and this tiny movements of the neck can be adjusted just by playing, and all fine. I hope that you got the information you needed and you find exactly what's not working on your violin, and maybe you go to a violin maker and get it done, or you sign up to my setup and sound adjustment course on my Violin Making Academy, which is actually a super great tool, and you actually then realize what's going on and what you can do yourself, or what maybe you go to the next violin maker. When you buy next instrument, you know where to look at. Ciao, ciao, bye bye, have fun, bye bye.